If you're engineering the next generation of aerospace and defense systems, you're facing a wave of rising complexity. To thrive in this new competitive marketplace,
we have Krupal from Boeing. If you could raise your hand, please.
Good morning, Mr. Sahni. This is Krupal.
Yeah, no video of yours. So.
No video. I was looking for it.
The video is not on, Kripa.
Hand raising.
Yeah. Okay, let me choose the executives who have the video. We have Mr. Prasad.
I think I say good, Ritesh.
Yeah, incidentally started off his career in management consultancy firm and switched to auto, now on his own. Very unique name, Agnito Consulting. Prasad, over to you.
Hello, Mr. Shani. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all. Meet you all. We're waiting for a very nice raiser of the curtain and a great AeroCON 2020.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sani.
So maybe we can do a self-introduction. A lot of people are not on video. Maybe you will not be able to do. I'll very quickly go through the room. We've got Mr. Saib Ali from ANSYS, and then Sriman Narayana Maila from Eaton, Robin Jacob from Collins, and Lalan Singh from ANSYS. Yeah, he's been supporting us.
Yes, this is Lalan. Yeah. Good evening.
Excellent. Hi, good. This is Ravi here.
Yes, sorry, sir, I forgot.
Hey.
How are you? You are trying to look at something.
He's visible. Okay, come on.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining in, and it's a great help.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
much appreciate
know each other, Dr. Ravi. Dr. Ravi is the Associate Vice President at Infosys, and prior to Infosys, he has served several PSUs, the government sector in India. He has been a very active member both in SAE India and SAE International for the Aerospace Forum. He is in the G31 committee. Thanks, Ravi. Dr. Ravi.
Where was the diverse representation?
Yeah.
Dr. Ganga Reddy from HCL, Professor Karnagaran from Hindustan.
Vasant?
Yes, Mr. Vasant Kinney, how can I say, CEO of Titanium Group of Companies.
Good evening, Sir Preet. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
So, Shani Saab, we are expecting another important executive, Dr. Bala Bharadwaj, President of SAE India.
Okay.
He works for Boeing. He's the Managing Director for Boeing India Engineering and Technology Center. He should join us at 6:45.
We have Rakesh Bidre, who is also the...
Yes. Rakesh Bidre is from General Motors, now TCS GM relationship, very active member of SAE India.
We have Ms. Anuradha Mohan from Boeing.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. And Mr. Ashokan
From Sir Asokan from Pakistan University.
Welcome, sir. Ajit ji is here. Ajit Agdeji and Kap Prabhakaran. I think we're all set. Domo, are you back?
I said he is in green room.
Oh, okay.
Hi, sorry. I was listening all the introductions.
Oh, lovely, lovely background, Damo. Namma Bengaluru. Vidhan Soda, yes.
So,
Go ahead. I will now go to green room.
okay.
So how's the, I mean, in between, how's the COVID situation over there and in Singapore?
Sorry,
Mute. You're on mute, Murli. Mr. Murli, you're still on mute. Sunny?
Hey,
I'm sorry, was that a question for me regarding COVID situation?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yes. So, Singapore seems to have managed to control the situation at this point. The city has opened up quite a bit. The default in terms of going to your workplace is still work from home, if possible. But the city is opening up, and the rate of COVID spread is quite low. Community spread is almost negligible. They're simply managing the spread between a group of foreign workers. But beyond that, they really seem to have done a good job. Of course, there are restrictions. Masks are required everywhere, and the contact tracing is happening everywhere you go. So all these tools and restrictions, I think, are helping them manage and keep control over the situation. So it's looking good.
That's good to hear. Yeah, that's nice to know. Murli?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as far as US is concerned, US is very different than any other place. People here have never seen this kind of situation ever in their lives. So with a country which is 3 times the size of India and with 330 or 340 million, or rather even more than that population, with people going in all different directions, with elections coming up, the situation is totally chaotic. So while some states have been able to have some states had early on the onset, like New York, there the situation is slowly getting under control. But other states are having, a very steep increase on certain days, and then on certain days there is a steep decline. So situation is not very clear. They're saying that by the end of this month or early next month, there could be possibly a vaccine or a couple of vaccines, but we do not know. There is going to be also onset of forthcoming flu season. So it's a very iffy situation. Totally, there is a total ban on overseas travel except for certain extraordinary situations. So we cannot travel anywhere. Domestic travel is kind of under strain. Mostly, we are all operating from home. Very few people are allowed to go to the work. So, so Pennsylvania, for example, where we are, or Michigan, are under constraint right now. But we are hoping that by the end of the month, things would start looking up. So that's in long and short.
Thank you, Murli. Hope this will become better and better for all of us.
Hopefully.
So it's very rare that people join quite early for a web conference. I'm very happy to have all of you ahead of the scheduled time. Thanks to each one of you.
Muni, all these interesting conversations are live. Everyone is watching in YouTube.
Good.
Obviously, that's wonderful. So we are visible to the whole world. That's wow. Yeah. Already around 14 people were interestedly listening in YouTube.
Good. I'm happy that we are not crossing the limits.
Yeah. Now Vasant is online. So I'm side by side checking.
Yeah. So Dharma, we have around 100 people, 254 on WebEx, around 100 in all of the social media. We have 1,300 registrations overall. So we have another 15 minutes to go. So hopefully we will hit beyond 500 numbers soon.
That's really good. Normally it will take some time, in terms of joining, like 7 to 7:15 is a good time to take attendance.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, if we already have 100 on YouTube even before it starts, that's good.
I mean, all put together, not exactly YouTube, FB, LinkedIn, everything, but 100 on social media is very good. 52 live in microsite right now. 24 in YouTube. In fact, we are missing cricket so much. Even the IPL has moved to Middle East. I am getting that cricket feeling. The live score. So members and ladies and gentlemen who are watching us in the social media, stay with us. Officially, we're going to start in another 13 minutes. So what you see on social media is our organizing committee and steering committee members, stalwarts of aerospace industry. So keep watching, stay with us, sip some coffee.
We have Mr. Kiran Kumar joining us. Good evening, sir. Welcome you again.
Good evening, sir. I'll be your MC. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Kiran Kumar. Damodran here. Welcome.
So, hope you're doing well, sir, and Bangalore is okay.
Sir, you're on mute.
You're on mute, sir. If you could kindly unmute. Yes, sir. Now okay.
Namaste. Bangalore is on the rise right now, of course. But in general, it's okay. But compared to earlier days, starting days, we are on the rise.
Correct. But nothing like Chennai, sir. We are
of course, compared to many other places, even within the country, Bangalore is doing well.
True. But, sir, we are live on social media, so I wanted to tell them one sentence about you. Ladies and gentlemen and members, SAEINDIA fraternity who are in the social media, we have Mr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, former chairman of ISRO and distinguished guest for the evening. We will officially start the program in another 12 minutes. Stay with us. So the system we have done today, Mr. Kiran Kumar, is we're using WebEx as the base media or the piping system, and then through some backend and front-end software solutions, we are piping it to YouTube Live.
Okay.
And the FB Facebook Live. We also have a microsite. So we have about 1,300 registrations. Right now, over 150 in the social media put together.
Okay.
And about 30 people on the WebEx. We're expecting Dr. Bala to join in in a few minutes.
Anyway, these are new ways of dealing with the the pandemic.
It's more than the new wave. It's going to be the new norm.
Yeah, correct.
Good evening, Dr. Bala.
You're on mute. Dr. Bala. Yes.
Okay, that's better?
Yes.
All right.
Good evening.
How is everyone? I see Murali there, bright and early.
Hello, Dr. Bala. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you after a long time.
Yeah.
You never showed your face in the previous meetings.
This is one of those special occasions where we actually use the video. Bandwidth will hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I see Mr. Kiran Kumar.
Yeah, Kiran Kumar here.
Hey, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thank you.
You gave a fabulous talk at our 10th anniversary event. So I'm really looking forward to what you're going to say today.
Expectations are always a problem.
Well, my personal expectations, I'm sure. Because I have a reference point, see?
That's right.
Dr. Bala is known to raise the bar all the time.
Hey, I just ask some simple questions. There's no question. You don't scare people by raising the bar and, all those kinds of things.
Dr. Bala, we also have Mr. Shani.
Oh, yeah, there I see him.
Singapore FAA office. Yeah.
He's got a very fancy
Mr.
background.
Shani? That's new.
How are you, sir? Thank you.
I'm glad you are able to join us. Are you actually in Singapore? So it must be kind of late.
I am in Singapore, so yes, it is. But my work, in our work, I should say, in aviation, it's a 24/7 type of a job. So, and with my office being in Washington D.C., quite a few late evenings, but that's part of the job.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I think the COVID and working from home has only extended the workday.
It has. That's a good point. Actually, it seems the workday just blends into the work life.
Yeah. See, nowadays we don't even talk about work-life balance. I think
all distinctions are gone.
I think they are all kind of blended into one continuum.
It is a continuum.
It's a flexi working, Bala.
Well, flexi means I have some flexibility. Nowadays, I don't find that.
It's too much of flexibility. There's no orderliness.
Yeah. Well, it is overlap more than flexibility. See, flexibility to me implies you can do this or that. But I think the way it turns out, you end up having to do this and that. So, I mean, if you are in electronics, an AND gate has become an OR gate.
So we have Dr. Ravi Kumar, or we have Mrs. Rashmi as well.
Good evening,
Yeah,
Madam Rashmi.
Welcome.
Hello.
We have our president, our executive advisor, SC chair, OC chair, and the chief guest, Madam, Mr. S. Kiran Kumar, former chairman of ISRO, and Mr.
Welcome to you, sir, and very good to meet you here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
Rashmi
had
looks
met
good.
earlier in the Government of India's office and Mr. Gadkari's office, Dr. Kiran Kumar.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So when he's playing some games, he's got the SAEINDIA office and people keep changing there. What is this game you're playing?
Which one, sir?
He's giving background to you.
I know.
Oh, okay.
If you had told me that, I would have told you what background I want.
That's a common background for today evening, Dr. Bala.
Okay.
So we have 1,300 registrations right now. We are at 300, Aisha? Around 300 people. So both WebEx and social media put together.
Right.
So thanks to Damo and Saffron team, we have actually established a system, which is basically WebEx is the front end, and then we have YouTube, FB, and the microsite as live. So right now we are live, so people are watching.
Ah, okay.
About 300 people on YouTube and
Right.
Facebook.
And this is going to remain on YouTube for a while, or?
Yeah, until the entire event is spiked to social media.
We have an option to remove it also, Bala, after the transmission is over.
Okay. But if you don't exercise the option, it stays.
It stays. You're right.
Okay. Yeah, we may want to keep it at least till, November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case people get curious, I'm sure there are people who registered and will not be able to make it today. Things change. So
maybe what we do is, like, after the program is over, once again, I think the team is recording the whole event. So once again, we will trim the prelude, what we are discussing now. This is also will be there in the YouTube.
Right. Yeah,
So we'll
yeah,
trim that.
agreed.
Yeah.
This is raw feed, right? So we'll make it into the final one.
Yes. True.
All right. No, good setup. If you have 300 people already, that is more than we normally get in a live event.
Sure.
So, there is one advantage to doing this online. We are able to make it available to more people. So we have to look for those silver linings in the cloud.
Yeah. This time, one good thing, Dr. Bala, is several professional members from our own OC members companies and SE member companies have joined, registered, I would say.
I do expect a fair number to join. Maybe not all the 1,000 that registered, but yeah. I'm hoping it'll be closer to 600-700 at least.
Yes, it'll come. And the student population typically comes and goes, so they don't stay for the entire length. You know about them. So.
Yeah, well, I hope they do, because I think both invited speakers they have very interesting topics. I have not met Mr. Sani before, but I'm sure he will have interesting things to say. These are, in my mind, opportunities to hear from seasoned people, hear a different perspective than the usual thing that people exchange on WhatsApp, right? So it's up to our members, up to the community. I don't know how prevalent it is that we actually make the effort and listen and learn from experience. That's a very, very fundamental part of aerospace. It's a fundamental part of, any deep science that you want to understand, certainly applicable to aerospace.
So Muni, should we start?
Venki, it's time for us to see our good friends, sponsors. I think a couple of them are already coming. You can spot and introduce quickly.
Sure.
Venki? No, it's 6:50.
Yes, Muni.
Thank you.
So should we start, Muni?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Take a look at what kind of attendance you have and give a countdown so we kind of know what's coming.
Yes, sir.
think you're off. Okay, you're on mute.
I think keeping this on for 2 months would be really good for the final event and keeping it on YouTube.
True.
Winky, how's the participation now? Can you start or how's that?
211 in microsite and about 35 people in the WebEx, which is OC and SC and dignitaries. We had 79 in YouTube and 41 in FB. So we have crossed about 350 in all. And the WebEx detail is shared only for the speakers and the OC and SC members. Other participants who have registered, they're all on microsite, YouTube or FB. So we have about 350 approximately, Dr. Bala and Moni.
Thank you. Maybe we can.
So maybe we can go through the introductory part and then we don't know, you have to kind of say 300 people. It's not a bad threshold to get going.
Yeah, we have a packed agenda as such. It'll go for about 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Right.
So I have a request. If you're not talking, kindly go on mute and your mobile phones and silent, please, especially the SCOC and the dignitaries. That's a request. And we're going to start. The host will actually mute everybody. We're going to start with the music, and I'll be the MC of this evening. I'm Venki. So I'll go blank for a minute, and the music will come.
Is there anything going on?
Venki is under control, Ravi. He'll come back. Okay.
Since Genesis, mankind has always been obsessed with the desire of flight. The reason for this obsession can be related to the mindset of people for whom flight was synonymous with power, freedom, and divinity that provided an individual euphoria of being superhuman. The obsession that would allow them to shun the troubles of the world, make them as free as a bird, and be closer to the gods that reigned above the clouds. It is now over 116 years since the Wrights were said to have solved flight control issues to achieve controlled turns on a 1-mile circuit on 20th September 1904 to a 30-minute flight in summer 1905. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you from 20th September 1904 to 9th September 2020. At the annual meeting of 1916 SAE meeting, representatives from the American Society of Aeronautical Engineers made a pitch to SAE for oversight of technical standards in their industries. And early supporters were famous names like Thomas Alva Edison, Glenn Curtiss, and Orville Wright. Today, SAE International has 22,000 aerospace standards, and it publishes 72 new aerospace standards each year. So, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to take you from SAE International to SAE India. We are a 24-year-old member-driven professional society and strategic alliance partner to SAE International. SAE Aerospace fraternity leaders, our members, industry captains, students, faculty members, and those who are watching us on the microsite and in social media, a very good evening to you. I welcome you to Curtain Raiser event of AeroCON 2020, a large format technical conference launched by SAE India virtually. I'd like to introduce the first speaker of the day, Dr. Bala Bharadwaj, President of SAE India. Dr. Bala is someone with decades of experience working in aerospace. He joined Boeing in 1987 and worked in the US for over 20 years. Currently, he is the Managing Director for Boeing India Engineering and Technology Center. Dr. Bala holds academic credentials in engineering and management, BTech from IIT Madras in aeronautical engineering, MS and PhD from Georgia Institute of Technology, again in aerospace engineering, and MBA from University of California. He has been a faculty member at Boston University, teaching aerospace. During his career, Dr. Bala has been recognized with several awards from NASA, Boeing, and other organizations. He has also been inducted as an associate fellow of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and he is a member of Beta Gamma Sigma Business Honor Society. These days, he is actively engaged with the industry bodies connected with aerospace and mobility-related initiatives as the president of SAE India and member of the governing council of Karnataka Aerospace Technology Center. Dr. Bala is an active speaker at universities and other community forums. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite on behalf of you, Dr. Bala, to give the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Venki. Good evening, everyone. Good morning if you're calling from a different time zone. I know Murli Iyer is in the US very early in the morning. Thank you, Murli. I wanted to start with thanking Mr. Kiran Kumar, Mr. Sarpreet Shani, and Murli Iyer. They are going to be sharing some thoughts, the rest of this evening. But let me start with, what SAE India is all about. SAE India is a strategic partner working closely with SAE International. SAE International was originally called SAE, at least when I knew it, we came to know about it, Society of Automotive Engineers. But if you go back in history, Venki talked about, the dawn of aviation. But the dawn of SAE actually involved, very famous names, both from the automobile industry and the aerospace industry. In fact, the Wright brothers were among the founding members of SAE, and the legacy of aerospace and SAE go very, very far back. Now, SAE India is in its 25th year. We've been around for a while, originally started with a focus on the automobile industry. That is the industry that was evolving in India, and it made sense to focus our attention there. But about 10 years ago, actually in the December of 2009, we felt it was appropriate time to bring in an aerospace element to SAE India. And we created a group. I won't go into the details of what we called ourselves, but basically a group of people interested in promoting aerospace within SAE India. Our first meeting was held in March of 2010 at NAL in Bangalore. And since then, every year we've been conducting, some kind of an event, some small, some large. But definitely this event, AeroCON 2020, is the largest such event. Now, originally, we thought we would do this along the lines of Aerotech that is conducted by SAE International. We were all supposed to meet face-to-face, but of course, these days, life is a little different. But we are actually happy that we are able to meet, across the WebEx and various other electronic platforms because we are able to connect with people in different parts of India, different parts of the world, seamlessly. So in a way, I can say that, the virus has changed things, but not necessarily for the worse. Maybe it has changed things, for the better as far as this particular event is concerned. Now, 2020 has been an interesting year. I put interesting in quotes. Some people may use other words, challenging, difficult, topsy-turvy, unpredictable. These are all reasonable representations, reasonable adjectives you could use to describe 2020. Everybody has been impacted by this virus. It's a tiny virus. Somebody sent me a WhatsApp message a while ago estimating the weight of this virus. And their estimate, I don't know how accurate it is. The source is WhatsApp. Up your mind. It says that you need 0.5 micrograms of this virus to make a person sick. And if you say that there are 6 million people who got sick with it, the total weight of the virus for all these 6 million people is 3 grams. So 3 grams of virus Even if we say the 3 grams is a wrong estimate, make it 300 grams. That small amount of virus has caused a huge impact on the world as we know it. And clearly, aerospace industry is also impacted by this. No, but the beauty is that human beings, have been through challenges like this in the past. We may say we have never seen anything like this before, but there is a concept of 100-year flood. There is a concept of, pandemics, and the pandemic that everybody talks about is the one from 1918. The pandemic that is associated with the Spanish flu. And when you go back and look at 1918 versus 2020, the world is very, very different. We are able to communicate today. We are able to share information today. We are able to bring resources, in the form of, transporting medicine, transporting various things much more easily than we were able to do back in 1918. And the humankind is not one to simply accept whatever it is and sit still. We are going to fight back. We are going to take, action. Now, based on what is going on today, including the WebEx session, including the electronic session today, most people would say that, oh my God, thank God for these electronic devices. We are able to continue working from home. We are able to continue interacting. But have you thought about what is the role of aerospace in the present day electronic systems? In the early years, back in the 1950s, for example, even before that, in the 1940s, development of electronics was driven to a large extent by the needs in aerospace. Even today, when we use a GPS system or when we think about satellites that are helping us to communicate, these were put into place by aerospace engineers. So even though aerospace has been silently doing things in the background, it's extremely important to realize that aerospace is actually enabling us to live the life we are and enabling us to address the challenge that has been created by the virus. So if you know an aerospace engineer, thank the aerospace engineer, because aerospace has had a big impact on how we live life today. Now, when it comes to different industries, the mobility-based industries which SAE International and SAE India work with, they have been impacted significantly by the pandemic. Aerospace is certainly one of those. And the sector that has been impacted in aerospace is the civil aviation sector. And that means, airlines are impacted. Year, and it may take us 2 to 3 years before things come back to normal. It's a huge impact on the industry, no doubt. But then the part that we also have to remember is that aerospace is not only about civil aviation. There are two other very important aspects of aerospace besides civil aviation. One is the defense sector of aerospace, and then there is the space sector of aerospace. And both these sectors are not impacted to the same extent. The drivers, with respect to space, with respect to defense aerospace, are very. So life goes on. There are activities. In fact, Mr. Kiran Kumar is from the space sector. He's going to talk to you. Whether it is ISRO in India, SpaceX, or Boeing in the US, they are continuing to work on these space-related activities. Similarly, when it comes to companies that are working more on the defense side of aerospace. And of course, in India, we are looking at how to strengthen the defense sector as well. So I just want you to understand that this is not the end of the world. I've been in this industry for a long time, and we have seen other situations where there were ebbs and flows. There are times when the defense sector is not in demand, the commercial sector is. There have been times when the commercial sector was, having a crisis. but the rest of the industry wasn't. So there is a kind of an ebb and flow in aerospace, and we are seeing something similar again. Some people will say this is harder or bigger impact. I know I can see why they would say that, but it is not the end of the world. Now, when you have a crisis like this, you can look at it as a crisis, meaning there's nothing I can do about it, or there are people who would say there is opportunity in this crisis. And we have seen this. Working from home means, companies that create products like Zoom, WebEx, there are other platforms out there. They all have suddenly become very, very important. You can look at that in terms of some companies are benefiting, some companies are struggling. So any crisis creates opportunities. Crises also have a way of forcing innovation. When you have a crisis, people, the normal rules of engagement, don't work anymore. So people are forced to innovate. We say necessity is the mother of invention. So the crisis sometimes becomes a necessity and actually creates innovation. And I'm sure that is happening, in the aerospace industry, or will happen in the aerospace industry. Now, the other thing is that when you talk about a situation like this, a crisis like this, there are no automatic advantages for existing players. Companies like Boeing, which, where I come from, we had a plan. When you go back to 2019, we had a certain plan, and that plan made some assumptions. Of course, today, all those assumptions, have to be thrown away, and new assumptions have to be made, and the new assumptions are constantly changing. So large companies like Boeing have to reinvent themselves, but that is also an opportunity for small companies to come in and say, I can contribute here as well. So in some sense, situations like this create a more of a level playing field, or they change the field in such a way that it is not obvious who is the automatic leader and who is the follower. And my point is that you can look at this situation and say there is an opportunity, or you can look at the situation and say, oh my God, this is a disaster. Why did I come into aerospace? In my own career, there were many times where it felt like the bottom is falling, but the bottom didn't fall, because aerospace generally attracts people who are very tenacious, who are very creative, who know how to deal with complex problems. And my guess is 2 years down the line, we'll be saying that, hey, because of this crisis, we did some things differently, and we are in a better place today than we were back in 2020. So with that, we have opportunities. We are going to listen to, two eminent speakers today, Mr. Kiran Kumar from ISRO and Mr. Sarvjit Shani from FAA. We're also going to hear from Mr. Murali Iyer about their perspectives. We also have, in November, this is only a curtain raiser, we said, in November 5th and 6th, we have more elaborate sessions talking about various topics related to aerospace and how they may be impacted because of the current situation. So I welcome you to join those. I think we have an exciting program that has been set up by the organizing committee and the steering committee. There's a technical group working on putting things together. My thanks to all of them. My thanks also to the sponsors who have come forward to support this event. So I welcome you to this event today. I also encourage you to join us on the 5th and 6th of November. Watch our announcements to see what else is coming. But again, welcome and thank you for joining. Over to you, Venki.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bala. It is, like usual, an inspiring speech. Thank you. Just a time check and a count check in the new normal. We're all living in the new normal. We have got 258 participants in the microsite and 228 in YouTube. And we have crossed about 500 if you take the industry leaders on WebEx as well. So ladies and gentlemen, in the new normal, to make it very interesting, it's going to be different. Before I introduce the next speaker, the question to you. Which was India's first flight and who made it? Possibly if you're in aerospace industry, you know the answer for who made it, but what is the aircraft type? I'll come back to you soon. We will see the answers after the address from SAE International. Our next speaker holds an MBA in International Business from Rochester Institute of Technology, New York, and a honors degree in Russian language and literature. A bachelor's degree in science from India. He also holds a teaching fellowship in Russian language from Moscow Linguistics University, Russia. This executive has worked and consulted for over 40 years with several Indian and international organizations in the areas of international business development, corporate planning, strategic marketing, and cross-cultural negotiation. As executive advisor on global affairs, he is responsible for developing SAE strategic alliances with overseas partners and providing support and advice to SAE president and the CEO of SAE International on strategic global issues. Can you guess the number of SAE International presidents he has worked with? 24, and 3 CEOs since 1995. He represents SAE International as vice president of Americas, both North and South, and Africa in the Visita Society, which is another larger umbrella, and serves on the board of SAEINDIA and SAEINDIA Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, I now welcome Mr. Murli M. Iyer, Executive Advisor, Global Affairs, SAE International. Murli, take it away. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Venki. And very good morning to all of you, my dear friends from SAEINDIA. I would like to be brief, but I would like to touch upon 2 important aspects. One is a little bit about SAEINDIA, and then, of course, what we do from SAE International side. So first, the usual protocol on my behalf, on behalf of the SAE 2020 President Todd Zaffis, who is the president of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, SAE's CEO, Dr. David Shert, and the newly appointed CEO, Dr. Raman Venkatesh, and my personal self, I would like to extend my warmest greetings and congratulations to all of you, to the organizers of AeroCON 2020. It's so good to finally see my dreams fulfilled of having an international aerospace event organized in India, finally by SAEINDIA people. So once again, congratulations. I would like to specifically mention about Bala. Bala was the first person from aerospace area in this country whom I met. And from the very first instance that we met, we not only became friends, I think we formed a family bond. And I could see that Bala would steer SAEINDIA's aerospace activities in this country under his leadership in a very, very effective manner. And of course, we are seeing it now with our own eyes and with our own experience, that Bala, with his very able group of colleagues like Damu, like Muni, Ravi, whom I know also for many, many years, Rashmi, who is, I think, perhaps one of my youngest and oldest friends, and all the members of your steering committee and the organizing committee, and of course the staff, again, Venki, whom I know for many, many years, you have all made it possible. And thank you very much for making this happen, because as you, many of you may know, that I have recently transitioned from a staff role into a consultant and advisory role of SAE International. So after 25 plus years, having served with SAE International and having established number of SAEs overseas, sections, affiliate societies, partnerships, this was one thing that was always lacking. And I was hoping that one day, with my own eyes, I would see a major aerospace event being organized in India. So thank you, guys. Thank you very much for fulfilling my dream. Unfortunately, due to the current pandemic situation, we are constrained in many ways to have a lively interaction, dialogues, networking opportunities in person. But, you know, as Venki said earlier, thanks to this new age or the new times. We have to work whatever is available to us. And thanks to this virtual communication, we are able to still have it in a, I think, very effective manner. The numbers that Venki just read out seem to be pretty impressive. I would like to give you a little bit of background of SA India because we hear from several people about it, so there may be some repetition. But in 1995, I visited India. That was a time when Dr. Pawan Goenka, who is currently the executive, or rather the managing director of Mahindra's, was coming back to India. He was my advisor in SA International. He was working for General Motors. And as he was going to India, I requested Pawan to help me establish an SA India presence, or an SA International presence rather, in India. And Pawan said, come bring over the SA delegation and let's see what we can do. So I visited in 1995 ARAI with the first SA International president with whom I worked in 1995, John Lennon, and the CEO of SA International. And we met with him, and we met with a lot of leaders from Maruti, from Tata's, from Mahindra, from TVS, from so many companies, including some of the aerospace companies. And we all decided that it was time to create an SAE presence in India. So in 1996, the first SAE Western India section was born. It was established within the premises of ARAI. Rashmi has been a very much part of that. So thank you again, Rashmi, for your leadership, for the support that ARAI has provided to SA International. And I think SA International has also not lagged behind in providing its support to ARAI and to SA India. So from that point, we further moved on to other parts of India and created 4 sections that eventually led to the formation of SA India in 2001, when I came here with the first SAE International President of Indian origin, Dr. Shahid, who was also from aerospace industry. And we decided that now it is time to provide SAE India leadership into the hands of SAE India people. And therefore, SAE India as a self-registered, self-reliant, independent society was formed in India. And since then, since 2001 till date, I'm so happy to see the continuous growth of activities, programs, and so on and so forth. And in this journey, SAE International has been a constant supporter of SAE India. We have been helping CIAT since the very first 1997 CIAT event that I attended till today, and even the next one, which is going to be in September, we're going to support them. We give them all our SAE paper numbers. We have introduced number of programs in this country, like a Word in Motion, you must have heard, the Baha event, the Formula event that SAE India calls a Supra event. We have brought a number of professional development courses to this country. We have made provision to SAE India members to have access to Mobiles, which is our repository of all the standards and technical literature, and many other activities that we have been able to give to SAE India, thanks to the board of directors of SAE International, who have been extremely supportive of my actions in this country. So, long story short, while there are a lot of activities that Bala said happened in the automotive sector and off-highway sector, which is commercial vehicle, we did not see much happening in the aerospace. And that's when, from 2009 onwards, Bala and his team have been working very, very hard, and I have been pressing and sometimes pestering him to organize a world-level congress or conference. Did India with Dr. Richard Greaves, our 2015 president, and he was also the chairman of Magit Corporation and a member of several SAE aerospace standard committees. And we met with many of you, and at that time we all agreed that we should now focus on aerospace events, aerospace activities, aerospace related standards, and so on and so forth. So again, it is very heartwarming to see the fruition of my dream. You may also be aware that during that trip, Dr. Greaves was extremely, extremely generous and kind to establish an award named after him, which is called Dr. Richard Greaves Award for Outstanding Contribution in the Aerospace Area for a young engineer who has done an outstanding job in the aerospace area. So again, I would like you all to know about it, and I will request other leaders of the industry to come to establish similar awards and scholarship so that we can see aerospace activities growing in this country. Now India is matured, so I think now it's a good time to do that. And also another thing I would like to do is to share the information about the SA International's forthcoming AeroTech program, which is going to be from March 9th to 11th in 2021 in Pasadena, California. Hopefully, we are keeping our fingers crossed that it will take place not virtually, but in person, but we'll see what happens. But again, we will request all of you to consider making it to the AeroTech conference in America. If you can make it, that'd be wonderful. If not, we still appreciate, and we'll hope that in years to come, you would do that. But when I say AeroTech, you'd like to know what is it. So AeroTech conference is the leading SA International's conference for engineers, executives, regulators, researchers, and academicians across the aerospace and defense industry to gain the latest technical knowledge. They see the latest products and technologies in action, and they collaborate as a community to make the future of aircraft industry a reality. With a focus to practical application and implementation of technology, AeroTech provides the opportunity to network, to learn, to explore, and I hope that AeroCON will do the same, will follow the same model as we in AeroTech do. Venki had asked me to say a little bit about, since the time is short, he asked me to say a little bit about India, SA International's aerospace activities in the standards area. As you know, our major competencies are in two areas. One is the development of consensus-based standards, also the lifelong learning. So SAE International, that was originally conceived by people like Henry Ford and Wright brothers, decided that industry need to discuss among themselves and develop consensus-based. I underline and emphasize the word consensus because these are not mandatory or regulatory type of standards. These standards are developed by experts like yourselves who will meet in technical meetings and discuss and develop various types of standards. These standards are live, they're constantly looked at, they're constantly reviewed. So numerous SA aerospace committees meet, some of which you are familiar with, like A6 Aerospace Actuation, Control and Fluid Power Systems, A19 Aerospace Electrical Power and Equipment, IVHM Steering Group, so on and so forth. Many of you are also perhaps part of it. And if not, I would encourage you to be part of these committees. One of the forthcoming aerospace at Infosys, we are also having an Aero Connect Challenge competition for students. This will be held during the AeroTech conference in America. But I would like to see more of aerospace-related student competition for upcoming young engineers. I would like them to participate in these or artificial intelligence or drone-related competitions that are becoming very popular all over the world, to be organized by SAE India in India with the support of the local industry. We would be very much interested in supporting you, and in days to come, we'll discuss more about it. SAE's technical standard development program is now over 100 years old. So as again, Venki said earlier, some of them are repetition. We have almost 10,000 documents created through various standard committees. We have 24 committees and task force. These standards are authorized, revised, and maintained by the volunteer 1,000 engineers. So, and also SAE has got an advisory, U.S. technical advisory group to ISO, which is the responsibility of SAE International. So, what I would do is I would encourage all of you to please visit the SAE website, look for standards, development. And if you are able to locate a technical committee where you think you can contribute, please contact the chair. And these days, through the electronic media, you don't have to even be physically present to attend these meetings. Contribute there very effectively. And eventually, we hope one day SAE aerospace standards would be either harmonized or adopted by the Indian aerospace industry. And I think they're already being used as reference standards, but we would like them to be used increasingly. I did this in Russia. As you know, that Russians have got their own very strong standard body. But when I first went there and talked to the GOS standard, which was their original government-led standard-making body, which has now changed into another name. But the leadership said, "Hey, listen, we are very much interested in SAE standards." And lo and behold, I was able to translate 60 SAE aerospace standards into Russian. And many of you may not be aware of it, that the so-called Russian aerospace standards are actually SAE standards. So the government issued a decree and they were adopted by the Russian government. So this was coup d'etat for us. We never could ever imagine in our wildest dream that Russia would adopt SAE aerospace standards as their national standards. So I would very much encourage you, all of you, to please create these standard committees within your own board or committees and start discussing about it, because the greater awareness of it would encourage Indian aerospace
Thank you.
engineers in various committees. Once again, very much. I wish you all of you a very successful virtual event in future, but now a virtual curtain raiser. So thank you very much, Venki, and thank you all of you for inviting me and asking me to say a few words. Thank you. Good luck.
Venki?
Pinky, you are on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Murli, for a good address. In every trip of Murli's, schedule, he always asks this question: when are you guys going to do something similar to Aerotech? I'm sure you're happy. We have put it together. It has come out well. So, ladies and gentlemen, who are on the social media and microsite, YouTubes and FB, thank you so much for staying so far. We have crossed over 550, so we are approaching 600 numbers. Now, any guesses for the question for the audience? Which was India's first flight and who made it? Okay, since it is virtual, in a minute, I'll give you the answer. It was the de Havilland DH Portsmouth, which is a British three-seater high-wing monoplane aeroplane designed and built by de Havilland Aircraft Company between 1929 and 33. It had a fantastic speed of 100 miles, which is 200 kilometers. And the person who made it, you all know, but for those students and for those young engineers, it was the prime architect of Indian civil aviation, Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata, better known as JRD Tata. Okay, time to move on to Aero Forum and AeroCON 2020 overview. I'm going to turn into the chair of steering committee, Mr. Damodaran Subramanian, MD of Safran Engineering Services. Damodaran currently holds a position of Managing Director in Safran Engineering Services India. He started his career in 1990 in heavy automobile manufacturing company Ashok Leyland. Later, he worked in a Detroit-based engineering company, Easy. Can we mute everybody, please? Host, can we mute everybody, please? He started his Saffron career as director system design, worked on several transnational projects, including B787 for Boeing and A380-350 for Airbus. Damodaran holds a diploma in mechanical engineering and bachelor's and master's degree in systems and information. In addition, he underwent several management programs in Saffron University, IIM Ahmedabad, and IIM Bangalore. He is also well connected with SAE International and holds key advisory position in SAE India Aerospace Forum and Bangalore section. I have a request for you, Damu, if you could donate 5 minutes of your time because we are already at 7:40. Welcome, Damu, over to you.
Thank you, Venki, for a quick introduction. It's my pleasure to join this AeroCon initiative and helping all my colleagues to make sure that we reach a good program for the young and practicing aerospace community. I will run through my 5-minute speech through a small presentation. It's very important for us to know how we started. I think though Bala and Murli, I think they have given a very good introduction, like how we started the aerospace or aeronautics domain practice in the country. It was very nostalgic. I had an opportunity to join this band of initiative very early. I still remember our first meeting, the inception in the early 2010. When I joined, already the foundation stone was laid by Dr. Bala and others. Then we used to discuss a lot. In a country like only the defense establishment and few other multinational companies got an aerospace presence, how to build an ecosystem, it was a big challenge. We already got a lot of lessons from other industries. Like automotive is a good example. Since I come from automotive, we try to draw a lot of parallels. The early days was very challenging and interesting as well. How to bring the aerospace and defense practices to the country. The first thing is we need to create an awareness. That's where we spent our early days. Later, we started connecting. Once we gained some momentum with the support from SAE International and stalwarts like Murli and many of my industry colleagues who are working in the aerospace domain, we started gaining some momentum. And in a span of 3 to 4 years, we were able to do our first international workshop and conference for Aviation in Bangalore. Slowly, we are able to spread this message to the existing aerospace industries. And also there are many business houses would like to explore the opportunities in the aerospace. They are also very encouraging to bring this practice. So this was in the span of 5 to 6 years. Last but not the least, the most important thing is it's not the current business. How to make this industry future ready and how to develop the future experts and the technocrats of this community. Our focus also to the student and the academia. We launched first ever aerospace, the drone competition in Bangalore in 2017. It was a big success. And in the past, many of the students on their own with the help of their sponsors, they used to go for the SAE International competition. We want to give a flavor to the budding engineers to create some interest. As an aero board, we were doing all these things and we were rechristened as a very focused group in the SAE family. We rechristened ourselves as an aero forum. Now we are talking about AeroCon. I remember still, when I searched in all my archives, in 2016, we were talking about this event, of course, in a different name. I remember Dr. Ravi was mentioning, we need to bring SAE International's Aerotech, an Indian version in 2019. And we've been discussing, and it cannot be in the same name, but we need to bring something similar. We wanted to do this very early in 2020. Unfortunately, the few grams of a virus, making us to think in a different way, working on a new norms. So we combine together and we are going to have this virtual form. It's going to be a new norm. After seeing several virtual programs, trainings, conference, and exposition, it gives a new dimension to SAE India also. It could be for SAE, for any other organization. We want to make a permanent Aero Forum, a virtual exposition. Anyone can. First one is the one what we